We have a new national champion in college football. The Michigan Wolverines knocked off the Washington Huskies 34-13 in a game that it had its moments, but where it was tight, but Michigan dominated that football game from start to finish. And the team that was undefeated had a chip on their shoulder. Their schedule wasn't tough enough. Their coach had been suspended 2 different times. They had stolen signs. At the end of the day, Michigan ended up being the best team in all of college football.
Well, and I texted you this, and I know we predicted UW to win this game, and I think a lot of people that predicted UW thought the same thing. Michael Penix was going to be able to overcome the flaws in this UW team, right? Michigan was the better team, but Michael Penix the greater player, so therefore they would come through and win. When you looked at this game, and we talked about it yesterday, if UW was going to struggle, it was going to be because Michigan got pressure on Michael Penix and made him normal, made him human.
Yep.
And the defensive line from Michigan, all the way from Mason Graham, Chris Jenkins, just blew up the center of that Husky offensive line and got after Penix, and he was never comfortable in the pocket. And that's why you saw so many missed throws all game long on throws that he hadn't missed all year. And that was why Michigan was able to win this game. They got pressure from their D-line, and Penix had to get rid of the ball before he wanted to, and he wasn't able to look downfield because he was worried about getting hit. And the minute that happened, the entire game was over. It was in Michigan's hands.
That was my key to the game, right? Where if I said if this game goes sideways for Washington, it is because, one, J.J. McCarthy does not have to win the game.
He didn't.
They absolutely punished Washington up front. The linebackers were on their heels early in the game because they were kind of worried of the balance that Michigan poses to you in the attack. One thing right out of the gate that was abundantly clear was the Michigan Wolverines were going to run off that left tackle all game long.
Yep, that duo scheme.
They went straight at Braylon Trice. They went to that left side, and the first series, that's all they did. They pounded the ball to the left, and then boom, 41-yard touchdown by Dylan Edwards, and that got the kind of avalanche started. You saw that they were on the 46-yard Edwards touchdown, the second touchdown of the game. They were setting up to go left. Linebackers flowed, got out of that lane, and then boom, he cuts it back, and there was nobody there. Okay? It was a clinic up front from Michigan's offensive line. It was. Washington did adjust, and I give them a ton of credit because you can fold up the cards and you can push it and say, this game ain't going our way. They fought back, and there's always kind of been this never quit mentality from the Washington Huskies because you have the best quarterback in the country. You have one of the best quarterbacks in the country. Right. You have the best receiving core in the country. They will keep you in a game, and they can close that gap for you. What Michigan was able to do in the trenches, it was like a wet dream for Jim Harbaugh. That is exactly how he wanted to win that football game. And they did not need J.J. McCarthy to throw the football. 8 passing attempts in the first half was too much for J.J. McCarthy.
Right. The one drive where they go 3 and out, J.J. McCarthy threw the ball 2 times. What they were doing, it was a clinic on offensive line play because when you have a defensive lineman like Braylon Trice, the best way to neutralize him is to run at him. Make him make the wrong choice. So the way that duo play works is they are trying to run that ball off tackle at Braylon Trice, the defensive end for UW. They are going to let Braylon choose which side he wants to be on. The tackle or the guard, whoever he is lined up against, is going to fit him square. If Braylon wants to go inside, he's going to block him down inside. They will run to the outside. If Braylon wants to run and fill to the outside, he will fill to the outside and they will run inside. All that Edwards was doing was basically letting Braylon choose where he wanted to be wrong. Yep. Did he want to be wrong inside or did he want to be wrong outside? And the minute that Braylon would choose, Edwards would go the opposite way. And the eye discipline early in the game.
It's simple, but it's very hard to do.
Right. But when you have such a good player on the defensive line like that, let him be wrong. Let him choose the wrong choice. He can't be right. He can't play both gaps because if he tries to, he's going to get knocked completely off the ball by that Michigan offensive line. And so what they did is, hey, pick. Do you want to go inside? Do you want to go outside? And then we're going to have our running back read off that and kill you. And the eye discipline from UW's linebacking core was horrific in that first quarter. The reason those runs were big, initially they were stopped. Trice would pick his side, Edwards would go opposite, everyone would fill inside where Edwards was going. Edwards would see that, he'd take a jump cut, go to the outside, and then he was gone. They did not play gap sound football, and Edwards made them pay because he found where the open gap was. It was a clinic.
It was a clinic up front, and they bullied them for 303 yards. You saw the graphic put up that, 134 was the average yards per game that Washington's defense was giving up. They got that in the first quarter and a half of that football game.
174 rushing yards in one quarter.
It was incredible. It was a clinic that the Michigan Wolverines put on. But that wasn't the whole story because Washington, they had their chances. And as good as Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards and J.J. McCarthy were at running the football, the Washington Huskies still had a shot in that game. Yeah. And this one's going to sting for a really long time because of missed opportunities and not missed calls.